All right. If you're selling a house, you're probably balling out right now. And I'm talking about bragging rights left and right. And you're thinking, like, I'm a superhero and mama, we made it. If you're looking to buy a house, you are stressing, either losing hair or getting some grays. Ask this guy, I already know. Today, we're going to talk about the housing market with an expert in the field itself. And we're also going to be talking, how is that impacting every day that is around us? I think you may care about today's episode for your sake and for your family and what is to come. This is your Strategic Partner Show. If you are ready, let me know. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
I've been caught up since the day that we met, and you haven't seen the best of me yet. There's nothing like you and me together, and your eyes have been so hard to forget. But there's something you're trying to hide. There's something you're keeping inside. But I'm trying to get to know you much better. It don't matter how much time it takes. I just can't give up. Whoa, I just can't give up. Can't give up. I just can't give up. I just can't give up.
So I just can't give up, and I certainly won't. And no, you are not seeing things twice. Yes, there is somebody who looks exactly like me. I'm just a little shade lighter than he is. This is my brother from another mother, like literally all the way back in high school. You know, if anybody can validate that I stalked my wife since high school and that I actually did propose since high school, everything you've ever heard, this guy actually can validate that it is the real deal. Now, you may ask, who are we talking to? This is Jordan Franklin. And yes, this is the very first time ever in the history of vlogging, the history of doing what I do, and in the history of the show that we have an in-studio guest. This has never happened before. So I am so excited for you all to hear from him. And of course, the rock star, the amazing, the superstar, the beautiful, one and only Debbie Salmons herself, right from Florida. She's bringing the heat. Debbie, how you doing? How's your week starting?
Oh man, this is a good week. But first of all, Jordan, I am so excited. We got all kinds of questions we're going to ask you.
Yeah,
No,
bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah,
I think plenty of people are going to ask.
Fantastic week. And I want to tell you, like, one of the reasons why is because I took a break 2 weeks ago. And you guys have heard me talk about that, you know, that sometimes you have to unplug. And boy, did that do it, man. I unplugged, I slowed down. Now I'm speeding up. I am fired up and excited, helping people, seeing people grow. Man, it's just good. It's good.
It is indeed. Well, for anybody who's joining us for the very first time, whether you are on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you may be watching this live on a replay, let us know in the comment, what do you do for a living and where are you located, just so we can cater to you if it is necessary to do so. And plus, we kind of like that dopamine, that chemical that hits our brain saying, ooh, they're talking to you. It does feel good. So here's the thing. Are you, or do you know anyone who's going through a little bit of financial stress? I'm not saying per se financial struggle, but financial stress. You see the price of gas right now. You see prices of food. You see shortage on every single thing. And one of the things that I am certainly witnessing firsthand is shortage on homes. One thing that you could never think that it would ever happen. I read a statistic that there are only enough houses for 20% of the buyers. So for every home, there are 10 people, but only 2 of them have the possibility to have a best offer and a backup offer. And this is why I brought the man, the myth, and the legend, Jordan Franklin. He's been in the real estate industry for about a decade and a half, literally as long as we kind of went into our own careers, if you will. He also is one of the laid back, relaxed, but I'm still going to kill out there kind of person. He has a very relaxed, harmonious way of doing things, which I certainly appreciate. Emotional intelligence is one of the things that is important to me, and he certainly possesses it. And he's not afraid to say, I don't like this deal or I don't like this house. Matter of fact, we had a call today with an offer that was sweet, and all of a sudden he's like, I don't like this guy. I don't think we should even do it, which I appreciate. You definitely want somebody by your side who is sitting on your side of the table instead of just looking for what's in it for my pocket and what's the best deal for me. So I'm obviously publicly grateful for you. And so we're gonna get into this conversation right now. And if you want to be part of the conversation, let us know. Obviously, would love to bring you on and give you the opportunity to ask Jordan any real estate or housing or any questions for that matter, including what does he do to keep his hair as amazing as it is. All right. So first things first, Jordan, there is obviously an interesting time that we are living in right now, whether it is a bubble, a shortage, a highs, a potential crash. We're not sure what it is. So as an uneducated individual, could you give us a little bit of a GED style? Here's what's really going on in the housing market, and here's what you need to know if you own and or want to buy a house.
Well, the real estate market is a up and down roller coaster. And it's a market, it's an industry of cycles. Like in the Lion King, the circle of life, that's what the real estate market is. There's always cycles, you're always going around and around. So you may be in one market today, and then it changes, and then you go right back and it repeats that cycle again. So right now we are still kind of on the upswing of things from when we were around the 2008, 2009 crash, the depressing time period. Ironically, that was the time that I got into real estate, when it was quote unquote the worst time to get in. But I have a story about that I'll go into details later. But now we're in the upswing. We're in that time period where the prices are sky high. The values have risen. The interest rates have gone all the way down to 3%, lower than credit cards, lower than what you're financing your vehicle. You could buy a house for this. And right now they've slowly gone up, but it's still historically low. 5% today. Hey, ask your parents, ask your grandparents, what were the interest rates when they bought their first home? You're going to hear 12%, 17%. And people were buying homes at that time. So, I mean, it is a crazy time period that we're living in. Inventory, as Ali mentioned, is very, very tight. Home values are rising, but that's why it's the beautiful real estate game. It's all excitement.
Beautiful real estate game. I like how you put that. And fortunately, not everybody understands how to play or maybe even win in the game. As a matter of fact, there are people who are potentially missing out just because they don't understand the better offer, the better option. So if there is anybody who's watching right now and is owning a house and has owned it, and they may have a little bit of equity in the house, do you advise hold on until the market stabilizes, or sell and take advantage of the equity that is available, and or just hold on? Like where are you when it comes to that situation?
Well, as much as I like to consider myself a prophet, you
gotta love that.
You can't think that you're gonna understand what's going on in the future.
Right.
And really, it's not important. I'm going to try to hit things on a different angle right now, right? That's the question everyone asks. They always say, hey, is now the right time to buy? Is now the right time to sell? Is it a good time? Should I wait in 5 years? Whatever. All of that is the wrong way of looking at things. Truthfully, the way you should look at it is internally. What are your goals? What are your goals today? And if you can identify what your goals are, that will tell you whether it's a good time to buy, sell, or whatever. But today, with the markets, with the prices, if you own real estate, see, I can tell you to sell, right? And it is a good time to sell right now because you're going to get the most value right now. But it's not a good time to sell if you're not ready to sell. It's not a good time to sell right now if you have little kids and you want them to continue growing in that particular house. It's not a good time to sell. So it really does depend on you personally and your story.
So one of the things that many, and even I, have considered, well, if the market is this crazy, why don't I just sell, rent for a little bit, wait until it stabilizes? But that doesn't necessarily mean that you can predict also that that's going to happen. What if it goes the other way?
Exactly.
What is your perception and or advice for people who are in the circumstance where, hey, I got to sell because I hear that I can get 100 to 200K in my house in equity at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, like just go out, you will find a house within that 60 to 90 days, or like, again, for the uneducated and afraid because of a lot of uncertainty right now, from what you're seeing in the market, what would you recommend?
Well, it's really about the follow-up question. Again, because I said it depends on each individual person, right? So let's say you have a house, you're asking a question, hey, should I sell and maybe rent or whatever? The follow-up question is what's key. What is your goal? What are you trying to do? You could sell today, get all this money. If your goal isn't to take that money and go invest in other properties or buy an apartment complex, it doesn't matter. So it really depends on what your goal is. Like, I don't want to put your business out there.
Put my business out there.
But
you have a
goal.
I have a goal.
You have a goal.
I'm looking for the big, shiny, big, huge home with the 9 bedrooms and everything. And, everywhere we go, they're like, we want $1.5 million. We want $1.2 million. While normally,
that's what I'm saying.
Regular circumstances, they may be 600,000 to 700,000, and now you're seeing the homes that are normally 300,000 to 400,000 to 500,000 that are 900, 850. And then there's like all this the contingency game and the highest highest and best. I'm feeling like I'm going through a real estate lesson. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I hit him up today. I was like, "Hey man, like just so you know, I'm loving this. Like once we're done with
it every day.
I know, but for real though, I'm like, once we're done with this, we really got to talk about how we can because I like what we're doing right now. We're working together. We're hustling. I'm kind of liking it. Now, let me go back to Debbie for a second. Debbie, you were in the real estate market industry in 2007 and 2008, which if you, young man or young woman, probably don't recall, but it was an interesting time to live. So can you tell us, from your experience back then and what you saw and experienced, what do you anticipate, or do you see any similarities actually between back then and now?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. But the first thing I want to tell you about when you're talking about interest rates, I remember when my older sister, bought her house in 1983. She paid 14.5% interest.
14.5%?
14.5%.
Now, it was probably happy.
But here's the thing. You and I, we were minus 2 years old. Just to note that out there.
Exactly. Well, okay. So I actually know a lot about what happened in the real estate back at that time, but I'll give it kind of my spin because I'm not as educated, with the real estate terms. But basically, we were investing in properties and we were investing in all over Florida, right? The prices were sweet. The interest rates were sweet. But then we even started noticing they were refusing no one. No one was getting refused, right?
Oh.
And so basically
that sounds dangerous.
Oh, yeah. And so I'm going to tell you, on the news, when that bubble burst, right, there was 2 locations that they had on all the morning news. One was Phoenix, Arizona. One was Lehigh Acres, Florida. Guess where I owned all my property? Lehigh Acres, Florida.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? And what happened was that whole town, it was a sleepy little town, and it exploded. It exploded. And everybody was getting a mortgage. But here's what they did. The game was, we're going to get you in on this low interest rate. And in a couple of years, you're going to refinance it and all will be well. Well, that didn't happen. Instead, they got balloon mortgages and their let's say their mortgage was $500. It was suddenly $3,000.
Yep.
And so nobody could afford it. So that's what I saw happen then. I don't think that's what's happening now. Because I don't think that they're letting.
I think things have changed, and I think the government put certain things in place where people have the opportunity to refinance and to protect the end consumer from that circumstance of happening. And although many mortgage companies got away with murder and got a little stuck, because I remember when that stuff was going on. I was in the United States, if you remember, stalking my wife at that time. Yes, that's what I was doing then. But in any case,
was like we had rental properties, right? So here's what happened. People just walked out of their rentals because they could go get a mortgage less than they were paying for rent.
Oh, man.
Right. And so what also happened was some folks that had older homes, then they were paying higher mortgages. They just left. They just walked out of their house, defaulted on the mortgage, got a new mortgage in another house. And oh man, it was ugly.
Yeah,
ugly,
I was gonna say it
ugly.
certainly feels that way. Hey, we're gonna take a quick break. We gotta pay some bills. But if you are a struggling entrepreneur and you're looking to start, grow, or scale a business, you need to visit us at iam.media. As a matter of fact, it is an average of $1.50 a day. And as of today, we literally have over 50 video modules that are available for you for everything and anything that we've done in business for the last 14 years in 6 continents. Plus, you get access to a weekly coaching session, which I'm personally doing tonight. So you have time to register for an average of $1.50 a day. And come see me tonight, as I will be doing what we call the hot seat. And if you can't take the heat, well, welcome to my kitchen. All right, let's get back into our conversation. So, Mr. Franklin.
Yes, sir.
If I want to get involved in a real estate business, is this a good time for me to go get my license, or slow down? The market is too crazy for you right now. Because I've heard that, most people, and just be politically correct, don't even sell a house after getting their license. So everybody gets their license, but it doesn't mean that they're going to go out there and they have the hustle within them. So would you recommend for me to go and get my real estate license in this uncertain or just unprecedented market?
Well, right now, I'll tell you the truth. Right now is a high time that people are getting their real estate license. There's an influx of agents because they see all these high prices.
Oh, shiny objects.
These high commissions.
Yeah.
So we're in that time period where the old guys like myself, we see a bunch of new young whippersnappers coming in, selling homes, some of them not selling homes, some are full-time, some are part-time. So today now is the time that people are jumping in. And I would say it is a great time to get started. And actually, shameless plug,
go for it.
My company, Coldwell Banker, we have actually just started our own real estate school where we will help people get their license. You can go to my Instagram page at Franklin Estates. That's at Franklin Estates. You can put that in the.
I'm not doing anything.
In the message.
I'm not. You don't tell them what I'm doing.
At Franklin Estates, and hit the link in my bio. You can get your real estate license with a reputable company, Coldwell Banker. We've been around since 1906. One of the longest standing brands in America, in the world, actually. And we'd love to see you get your license and join us.
Is that correct? Did I type it right?
Yep.
Okay. And in case you're all wondering, this episode is brought to you by Franklin Estates.
Yes.
Go get your license today.
Oh, you messed up.
Oh, you put an extra
That's all right.
L.
Typo.
I asked him if he did it right. I respectfully asked. I added that L in there.
There we go.
All
So
right, here we
I
go.
got a question, man. It's
Go for
eating me up. It's eating me up. Okay, because I'm gonna lay it out here. So I own a couple properties, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any mortgages on any of them. And I got people knocking on my door day in, day out. Can we sell your property for you? And they're talking to me about the kind of money. First of all, I want to thank you for your opening statements about it depends what your goal is.
Right.
Because I got to actually think about that, because I've been going, well, geez, I could sell them and get another house. But this is my actual question. So It's a great time to sell. Right. And everybody I hear, they're getting more than what they're even asking half the time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you still got to turn around and get something else.
Right.
Right. So It's kind of like stocks for me. Right. I'm going, what am I doing? Right. Yeah, I can sell. But am I going to get the same bang for my buck, or do I need to leave the region I'm used to? That type of thing,
Right. Yeah. So, it really just, again, it depends on what you're looking to do. Sell the property, get the money. And, these are things that we would have to really strategize and look at beforehand, before listing your home to sell. At least that's what I would do. I would sit down with you and we would discuss, okay, you're going to make this much money on a sale. What is it that you want to do? Do you want to go buy another rental property? Do you want to go buy a vacation home, in Miami? Whatever it is, I like to set up my clients in a win-win situation. I like to know beforehand what what the goals are and what we're looking to do. Because it is tough to buy right now. It is extremely hard. Prices are high. There's no homes on the no inventory, but
just got muted out, guys. Got muted out, Ali. Muted out.
I clicked something and I was like, did I click something?
The last word was.
Well, I'll tell you what, he was cursing, so we automatically have the auto mute. Yeah, that's all that was.
Perfect.
But no, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so I was saying, we have to figure out what your goal is, so we can do that. And it's possible you can buy in this market. It's low inventory, but there's tons of buyers out there. But if we strategize, we analyze your situation, and we say, you know what, all right, this makes sense. I'm going to take this money, and this is the type of property I want to buy. Plan is to hold it 5-10 years down the road, and then cross the road when I get there. If that makes sense to you, then go for it. Get started today.
I absolutely love that you do that, Jordan. It's so.
Hey, and you know what? Actually, not for nothing. You have those properties. You may have a goal or desire to say, you know what? I have equity. I can just pull some equity out of these homes and go buy and still hold on to the asset. So, that's another option.
Yeah. So there's that's fantastic, because that's the first step in any business, right? Is figuring out what the client's goal is. So I really, really appreciate that you do that. I had a second. I love it. I feel like a news reporter. Follow-up question, right? Now, it was my understanding, and tax laws, they change all the time, right? And so it used to be, if you sold a property, you're going to pay capital gains unless you're buying another property to move into, right? And you have a certain amount of time to do that. That is still the case. Is that right?
That's within the same calendar year, though, right?
Yep. Still is. Still the case. I'm not an accountant.
One calendar year.
I like the disclaimers right there. He's so media trained. He's like, I'm not an accountant, but yes, I believe it still is.
And that's the thing, I am a professional realtor. That's what I do. I help you on the purchase. I can really help you on the sale. I help you on the house hunting. I don't try to pretend that I know everything. When I got connected with Ali, I let the mortgage guys do what they do best. I don't try to explain the numbers and the rates and all of that. I understand it, but I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and tell you something that doesn't make sense. And now I look like an idiot,
Yeah.
Even with taxes, all of that stuff. I have a team, and that's the beautiful thing. When you've been in the business for some time, you find the best mortgage people, you find the best attorneys, you run into the best inspectors and appraisers and so forth and so on. So, that's what we do. That's what I do. I definitely surround myself with good people, right? That's another business principle.
Absolutely.
You can't do everything. You have to let other people who do certain things better than you, let them do their job.
Absolutely. I love it. We guess we understand that, don't we, Ali?
Oh, we sure do. It's like Bill Belichick says, like, just do your job, right?
Yep.
The one thing that it keeps coming in my head. Do you mind if we do like a fire shot of quick questions, like basic thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
If somebody wants to buy a house right now, what is a minimum credit score that they need to have or should have? Because I know there are different, circumstances.
There are some lenders who say that they can get you done for 580, but typically you want to have at least a 630.
Got you.
630 credit score.
Got you. And in many cases, there are options to not just lean on the credit, but also on income verifications, taxes, and things of that nature as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, for example, one thing that you can do if this is an option for you, it's easier to buy a multifamily home than it would be to buy a single family home. So, maybe credit is not as strong, maybe income is okay. When you're buying a multifamily home, the potential rental income is counted as personal income. So that's what gives you more buying power.
That's amazing. And when it comes to first time buyers, I know when I purchased my home 13 years ago, there was the first time home incentive in my county where we've received $10,000 towards the closing costs. And the government gave us $8,000, which was after 2009, $8,000 for first home buyers and a tax return. Is there something like that right now, or do you anticipate anything to come? Because there are, and again, I don't like the they say, right? Because who are they anyways, right? I guess I was like, oh, they say. I'm like, who are they? I mean, I want to meet them because whomever they are, they know something we don't know. But the word is there's a potential crash potentially coming up in the next 3 to 6 months because the car business went through an influx during the pandemic and a shortage of inventory. Now is going through a ridiculous crash. So do you like, is there anything that the people should take advantage of right now, and do you anticipate some kind of crash or like the end of that light of the tunnel that everybody's seeing?
Well, when I speak to other professionals at my company, different vendors that we work with, like guaranteed rate mortgages, the belief is not that it's going to be a crash like what happened before, but there is going to be a stabilization that takes place. A lot of people already, you're starting to see it with the rates going from 3.5 to 5.5. You may have been approved for 500,000 2 years ago. Today, that 500,000 is 400,000. So there's a stabilization that's taking place. No longer, low rates. Everyone's just going and buying whatever they want, getting all this money from the government. So it is stabilizing a bit, but we don't really suspect that it's going to be a crash where, like I've invested a lot in Newark, New Jersey. When I bought my first home in Newark, we bought it for $180,000. That house is worth almost $580,000 today. We don't anticipate that the value is going to go back down like it was.
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
It may lose a little, but it won't be as bad.
Right.
Yeah,
it might take a light knock because exactly, because rates and buying power has lessened a little bit, so it might stabilize a little bit. Even like the $1 million homes that we're looking at now and different things like that. They're high now, and then maybe in a couple of months in the winter or so forth, fall, it might come down a little bit, but we suspect that everything's gonna continue kind of the way it's going.
Yeah,
that's what I wondered, if there was ever a retraction, because you never see it go way back.
Right.
It can't happen, right? But a little bit of retraction, because here in Florida, I'll tell you, when we saw it go crazy. I mean, I've watched it over for decades that I've been living here, change and go up. But COVID was when we saw it go crazy, because people started, we have a lot of rural area, and people wanted to get out of the cities and they wanted to get away from COVID. And then it just started selling like crazy. And as a matter of fact, a property that I actually purchased and then stopped purchasing right before COVID, it was a land deal. It was 400,000, right? And it retracted back to about 350. And then he actually went up in the middle of COVID and he sold it for 8. Right.
Yeah.
And it's, but they were talking here that it had a lot to do with the influx, that people wanted to get away from the cities and wanted to get out. Right.
I'm curious on something in regards to COVID. One of the things that I was concerned about is, when COVID really peaked and people got out of their job. I mean, at one point it was almost 40% of the population that was unemployed. And then the government put the mortgage freeze concept for a full year, and then you had to figure it out. Okay, if I understand it correctly, after the year was over, okay, we paused it. How are you going to go about it? Are you doing what do you call it? A refinance or modification, I think it's called, or are you paying it back? And in many cases, many people were not ready to figure out how to pay that money back right away, because they were either not working yet, or they were in just a worse circumstance that they were in from before COVID. Had that create any impact on the housing market that we are living in today? Like, do you feel like that circumstance specifically created some of the shenanigans that we see today?
No, No, I don't think so. More so, what has happened is, people are valuing their time. People are valuing family. So people are more like, hey, you know what? Let's get our money. Let's go buy a house. A lot of people are still working from home that
So you're
used to go
saying
into the office.
the mindset of the everyday average person has shifted from the traditional to maybe it's time to buy a house just because I learned a thing or two about how things should be. I mean, is that what I'm hearing from you?
So at Coldwell Banker, we're running a campaign right now, Dream Big. We are daring homeowners, current homeowners, to dream bigger, because all of us have been stuck in our homes for almost 2 years, right? So a lot of people, the trend is we've seen a lot of homeowners who are now confined to their homes, or not going into the office. Where you live, where you sleep means more. It's more important. You're not on the road as much. You're not commuting as much. So, we've really been daring people, and we've seen it in the numbers. People are like, hey, you know what? I'll move an hour away to have that house that I really want, because, hey, I'm working from home.
He's quoting me right now.
Oh, there goes more prophecy.
They're quoting me right now.
I knew it. I had no doubt whatsoever.
Earlier today, yeah, because the market is insane, and we have a vision of what we really, really want. And I'll be transparent. I was like, hey, Jordan, if we're gonna commit to like 900 to potentially, when you add taxes and fixing it, and the last thing, it's gonna be $1 million commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm gonna make that kind of commitment and put my whole family like, all right, ride along this wave with me, I want it to be the sexiest place that I feel good and happy about. Mm-hmm. So today I was like, hey, what's up with this? Like, it's ridiculous. He goes like, well, the more you go south, that's how the prices adjust. I'm like, I don't mind going an hour south. I work from home. Everything. We are homebodies. We don't get out of the house till Friday.
Right.
Literally.
Yes, that's exactly what it is, Jordan. And that's kind of what I saw even here in Florida. It was just like, you know what? We want bigger properties, bigger houses, more land, and because we don't have to go into work. So
you don't have to go anywhere. Think about it like this. So many people have lost someone because of COVID. Yeah. It's just like, I think we're all kind of like, you know what? I have one life to live. I want to live it. Yeah. I'm not going to just keep saving that home on, the real estate website. I want to actually go there and check it out. I want to, pull some money out or do what I have to do to purchase my next dream home.
Yeah.
I think that mental shift, not to go off topic, but I think that mental shift happened to most of us, right? Where you're just going, what are we waiting for? Right. Because we all kind of know that life can end at any time, but the whole world got to see how quickly and how it can go. And it's like, what are we waiting for? Right? If you can make it happen. So good for Coldwell Banker. I love that. Dream big.
This episode is brought to you by Coldwell Banker. Hey, hold that thought for a second. Gotta pay some bills. You already know. If you have an organization and you need a little bit of pick me up, well, you got to talk to your strategic partners. We have an incredible team from strategic partners, keynote speakers, VP of sales, brand partners, anything you could imagine that are available to you to uplift you, to give you the experience that you and your team, plus the influence that you desire, as we have officially initiated a PR division where we can get you featured on one of the top 20 publishers in the world. So not only you document yourself with some bragging rights, but at the same time, you get some new eyes on you. So make sure you visit us today, iam.media, and we'll get somebody to work with you today. All right, Debbie, let's get back to the hustle and the flow. Let me ask you a question, Debbie. You and I have worked with thousands of people in the last 2 years alone. From your interactions and your experience, what are you hearing? Do you think people are more willing and open to buying or selling a house and kind of like, new generation really knew me? Or do you feel that people are still stuck in that fear mindset of, I'm scared and I'm just going to hold on to what I have?
I don't know. It could be, Ali, because of the types of people that you and I are working with that are dreaming big, like Jordan said. Most of the people that I am talking to are going for it.
Yeah.
They're going for it. And I've seen a variety. My best friend actually in Canada, where real estate is bananas as well. She actually has a rental property in Toronto and then a rental property in Sauble Beach. And she sold her primary residence and they're renting. And they're renting for, they're waiting about a year and then they're going to do what we're talking about. They want that dream property. They're like, we're not waiting anymore. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hearing. A lot of people just going for it, And
I love it.
And again, I think, we deal with a lot of people and try to get them to dream big and expand their vision.
And why not?
Right. Why not?
Right. Right,
yeah,
right.
it's interesting. And you talked about shameless plug earlier. Here's my shameless plug. So I'm as I spoke to you earlier, Debbie. I'm for the very first time since 2013 that I've been studying the laws of the universe and studying the power of manifestation and just how you can create with your own hands, right? It's interesting to me that more people are into that mindset right now, that they are automatically thinking about I deserve better versus before COVID, most people were leaning on the safety net, if you will, right? Like until they realized the safety net has holes in it. And the more you bounce, the bigger that hole got until you just dropped right down in the middle. So it's spot on. But next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday, May 17th, I have a 90-hour, almost 2-hour training. I've been personally mentored by Bob Proctor, the late Bob Proctor from The Secret. And I have been given his slides, his information, his teaching, directly. And I've held on to it literally since 2013. And I have a signed copy of his book that he wrote in it, Go For It. And I was always it's almost like I don't feel worthy to honor his teachings.
Wow.
And, after he passed 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, it clicked for me, and I was like, okay, it's time to honor the man and keep his legacy alive. So I started really immersing myself back into his teachings. And this is going to be the very first time in my career that I'm ever going to be teaching this very same class, if you will. So I highly recommend, if you don't have the link, let me know. I'll drop the event in the actual comment wherever you may be watching this from. It is free. It's complimentary. I can guarantee you just being there for an hour and a half will change your life forever, because it has for me. Put it like this. I told Mike, because I like to practice before presenting anything, especially that deep. I had my wife sit down and I kind of just went on and started going over it with her yesterday. And she immediately, my wife never meditates, never. My wife is in the category who's like, is this woo-wooism? Right?
Woo-woo.
Yes, this is woo-woo. So my wife yesterday immediately said, can we meditate? Immediately asked, can we meditate? So I knew that it put an impact on her. And I cannot wait to do the same thing for everybody that's watching. So May 17th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me know, and I'll give you the registration link. It is 100% complimentary.
I can't wait. I'm going to be there.
Yeah, right on. Jordan.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Bob Proctor. He was a good guy. He was definitely a good guy. I still hear his voice from the Secret movie, when I was in a tight spot and I had nothing else to watch. I literally watched The Secret every day until I got out of that hole that I was in, and I can hear his voice, from that tape. And
I have a really good friend actually. Just turned 79, and he toured with Bob Proctor. His name is Dr. Roger Boger, and he would teach on the paradigm shift as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so excited for you, Ali, to do that.
Can't wait. So speaking about telling stories, I would like for you to take a moment and share with everybody, where did the mindset of saying, I'm going to get into real estate, because was real estate what you've done straight out of high school?
No.
So tell us.
Well, kind of, but all right. So
give me the story. Give me the cheese.
This is how the story goes. All right. Me and Ali, we graduated high school the same time. I went to the local community college that was here and was pretty much there for like one semester, and I dropped out. While I was not in school. I was working at a gas station, working at well, I guess we could say Costco, right? Costco wholesale. Everybody loves Costco.
This episode is brought to you by Costco. They're all gonna pay.
Right. So I was working at Costco and I was pumping gas. In the area where the Costco is, it's a pretty well-to-do area, or at least it's connected to other neighborhoods of, pretty wealthy neighborhoods. So I'm out of school. I dropped out of school. I didn't know what I was doing, what I wanted to do. I originally was going to school for journalism because my junior and senior year of high school, I was working at the local newspaper. So that was something that was cool, but it wasn't really what I was in love with. I got that job because I was a hustler. The sports editor came to our school and I cut class and ran into him and basically got an internship that turned into a position. So I was always about business. I always loved business, marketing, sales. That was always my true passion. And I just kind of got into journalism because I was a hustler. So I dropped out of school for some time and I said to myself, what am I going to do? So I'm researching different things and something that came up was real estate. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. Something that I might like. So now while I'm working at the gas station, it was a gas station where we didn't take cash. We only took credit cards. And we only took credit or debit. And at the time, the main credit card that we used was American Express, right? So a lot of the people that were coming to get gas and fill up with this American Express card, they had that black card, the titaniums,
Oh, I know.
Unlimited, American Express card.
Oh, I know.
So whenever I saw someone that had that card or had a nice car, I would always ask them, hey, I'm thinking about, well, first I would ask them, what do you do? And enough people said real estate or real estate development for me to start asking more questions. But some of them were lawyers, some of them were doctors, and I will always ask them, hey, I'm thinking about getting into real estate. Now, mind you, this is 2007, 2008. This is when all the madness is going on. People are getting kicked out of their homes, foreclosure, all this stuff. When I spoke to people who were broke, like me and Ali at that time, those people, when I spoke to them and said, hey, I want to get into real estate, they would say, the broke people like us would say, are you crazy? Why would you get into real estate right now? Don't you see what's going on TV? People are losing their homes. This is the worst time to get into real estate.
I try to get him on ACN with that very same line. Are you crazy? You should do network marketing, bro. Literally, that was my very, very first 2 months maybe in network marketing.
Oh, yeah.
But then when I asked the people who had that Black American Express card, or they were doctors, they were attorneys, they were working, on the stock exchange. When I asked them the question at the same time period, hey, I'm thinking about getting my real estate license. What do you think? People that knew money, they all said, hey, this is the time you want to get in.
Yep.
Now is the time to get started. There's going to be a lot of opportunity. You should do that. It was like, you're smart. You shouldn't just be pumping gas. Go do that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. That's how I got into real estate, took the class, passed on, and I joined a company. I was there for about 3-4 years before I decided, because fast forward now, I got into real estate and I'm all about your why. What is your why? What do you truly want? And this is where the power of the mind came in.
That's where Bob Proctor comes in.
Exactly.
What do you really want?
Exactly.
I can hear it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm telling you. So, I got into real estate because I wanted to sell the $1 million homes.
Yeah.
That's why I got into real estate. I didn't want to necessarily be an investor or whatever. I wanted to just be $1 million real estate agent. So the first couple of years you get in and you're doing I didn't live in $1 million home. So I was selling the homes that were like what I lived in my neighborhood, my friends and so forth. Right. But then after 3-4 years, I realized, I said, wait a minute. I got into real estate because I wanted to sell $1 million homes. What the hell am I doing? Chasing 200,000, 300,000. Nothing wrong with that. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. At that point, I made a decision. I said, you know what? I'm $1 million real estate agent. I changed my mindset. I, started teaming up with someone who was selling the $1 million homes. And it was like, he respected me because here you have this young kid, I was 24 at this time. And I was already through like 3 years in because I started at 21. And he's like, this young kid, you haven't really sold much, but you're asking me if you can do my open house at a 1.5 or 2.5 million. And this is a funny thing. When I started doing that at that time period, I started working those $1 million homes. Ali had saw the marketing that I was doing, saw these homes.
I still have the picture, and I will pull it up.
Oh,
I
need that picture.
I gotta get into this conversation. So this is 2009, maybe. It was like, it was like literally like we just bought our house that year, and then we connect. We're obviously talking about network marketing, and he's talking to me about real estate. So I don't know what happened that day. He's like, let's meet, somewhere. And I'll never forget it. It was like an immaculate house, like looking over the beach. And it was just incredible. And I said, I'll never forget. He texted me about it as we're going and looking at different houses. He goes like, man, I just remembered you said, one day you're going to help me buy my $1 million home. Beautiful. And here we are, right? Like,
here we are shopping.
Yeah, literally. Beautiful. So it's, I remember that day vividly.
Yeah. So that was just a great time, you know what I mean? Because that was me putting my mind to work, mind over matter, saying, you know what, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. But look, same thing with Ali. He said it back then. He spoke it into existence. And here we are now. Shortly after that, I had left the area that we live in, the Monmouth County area, and I went into Bergen County. I joined one of the largest luxury real estate companies in the world. And pretty much everything just started coming into fruition. It all started though with a decision. I said to myself, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. And that's just the way it works.
I love that so much because, it doesn't matter the industry that's what it requires. I mean, funny story. Because I hate it because I don't even want to use the years because you guys weren't even in existence, right? It's awful, man.
Well, wait. We existed. We just weren't in this form.
Yeah, you weren't in this body, right? So in 1992,
we were around.
We were playing in the dirt.
Yeah. My husband and I don't know if have you ever heard of Russ Whitney? Okay, Russ Whitney wrote a book. It's called Building Wealth.
Okay.
And it was to do it through real estate investing because we didn't want to be real estate agents. We wanted to be investors.
Right.
Here was the funny thing. My husband read that book, and one of the things he taught was to go out and buy FSBOs, right? For sale by owner, if you don't know.
Okay.
I was going to say FSBO.
Yeah. Okay. Real estate lingo. See, she knows more.
Yes, she sure does.
Then she leads us on to believe.
So here was the funny thing, right? Talk about mindset. The people around my husband said, what are you doing? You don't have the money. You're not going to go get that. He goes, you watch me.
Right.
And he made that decision. And he said to me, we're buying our first investment property in the next 6 months. We read that book. We followed every step in there and we bought a FSBO. Right?
Beautiful.
Now, here's the crazy part. It was $40,000 at the time.
Wow.
That's what it was. That same house is just down the street from me now. And I saw that it went for about $400,000.
Wow.
Right?
Unbelievable.
But my thing is, Jordan, thank you for talking about the mindset because it doesn't matter what your industry is. You got to make that decision. And the great thing is you knew you didn't necessarily want to be an investor. You wanted to sell $1 million homes so you can focus in on that. Right.
Yeah.
So I just thank you for sharing that. It's
important. Like I mentioned, it took me I decided, got into real estate, and then 3 years passed where you realize, wait a minute, I'm not doing what I wanted to originally do. So there's always going to be up and down. There's always going to be like when you make a decision and you're speaking it in your own mind, there's always going to be chatter coming that's speaking again. So there's always going to be someone that's going to, an obstacle that's in your way. But the point is, You have to remain persistent, and you have to always go back to what your why is and just keep pushing.
Amen to that.
Facts. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to one of our favorite segments that the one and only Debbie Simons usually hosts, and that is Living in Harmony. And she has a beautiful message for you tonight. Don't forget, if you have not, make sure you register im.media and go click on ME Academy. It is an average of $1.50 a day, and you will be working with us this evening. I promise you, we're bringing the heat. Debbie, give him some love.
Awesome. And guys, I love it when everything kind of ties in, right? And so this ties in, right? And so I want to talk about like defining harmony in your life, right? Having harmony in life means basically that you can handle the different areas at once, right? Your career, your health, your relationships, your family, and you can make them all work together for your personal progress, right? It's important to know, right, that progress doesn't necessarily mean material, although it can. But progress really just means having the ability to work things for you and in your life so that you've got meaning and contentment, right? But make that decision, right? So to have that harmony, you've got to handle a few things. You got to handle the social, emotional, physical, personal, and of course, your financial aspects of your life and any other areas that are important to you, your work and your goals. I mean, they're all part of it. But I heard somebody say that like, it's a misnomer when you say you're going to have balance in your work and your life. It's the same thing, right? Your work is part of your life. It just means to have balance in each of those individual areas, right? So they tend to overlap on each other's, right? And there are times when you might feel the need to sacrifice some things for the sake of the others, right? How many times have you heard this, that, you sacrifice a lot when your kids are younger, right? You're working harder so that, maybe you can have a better life for them or that you can retire later on. But most people, in my humble opinion, have a tendency to focus on working really hard to achieve their goals, and that then later they will live their life. That's not the way it should be. That's just really not good for your well-being and your health, right? We're living through the process. We don't put off to another day to live our life. Yeah, we do some sacrificing, but you got to live your life today. So for me, what I have figured out again is the best thing for me is to make sure that I am like totally being true to myself. Like Jordan was saying, he knows what he wants to do. He knew what he wanted. And to have a really strong foundation so that you don't feel that extra pressure from within your life, if that makes sense. Because you're living your life and you're building your life on that solid ground, and it allows you to feel free. It just does. It allows you to be free, to be yourself, to fulfill your purpose and your intentions. So don't put off living your life. Yes, there are some sacrifices that you make, especially, if you're in business for yourself. Sometimes you have to say to the kids, look, we got to work hard this week, and we're going to do this weekend. But it's really important to not think that work, family, pleasure, all of that is life. So back to you, Ali.
Right on. I mean, I gotta say, inspiring stuff as always, and always in a genuine approach. Now, here's the thing: while you were sharing the love with everybody, I have in one of my Facebook albums and my pictures. Was it 3,700 pictures? 37 plus pictures.
It?
And I found it, because what you say you're going to do, you're going to do it. So I said, I'm going to find it right now. So I would like to show you all, because we don't just talk it, we actually live it. So let me show you the very same picture. And some of you are going to be like, there is no way, because I look exactly back then as I do now. I don't age. So check this out. This is the actual picture. And I don't know if when I zoom in, yeah, it's a little blurry, but this is the actual picture. This was $1 million home looking right over the marina. And I said, one day you're going to help me buy $1 million home just like this. And this was, I believe, 2009. Yeah, so this was definitely 2009. So when you speak it, and when you are ready for it, the world, the universe is going to give it to you. And, again, May 17th, I'm going to teach and work with you exactly to understand, not the woo-woo feel-good conversation. I don't motivate. Motivation expires. I will give you practical, real steps to understand, how do I actually create it? To understand, but Ali, I'm always positive. I don't say anything negative. I tell myself, I am so happy and grateful now that God has blessed me with all these things, but I just never get them. I will absolutely show you exactly 100% how you can make it. As a matter of fact, Debbie, you and I both know we for 2 years was a great business that I was eating really, really well, and things took a different turn. We're back right where we needed. I mean, the month of April was a little bit light, but then poof, right back on top of the world. And that wasn't well, let me rephrase that. This is one of the things that I'm going to teach. That was a coincidence. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a coincidence. If you understand how coincidences are created, boy, you're going to want to create coincidences every single moment. Like this right here is a coincidence. Guess what? Co-creators of an incident. So when I break it down to you and you understand how coincidences are created, and you align yourself with the divine, where is the creator and you're the co-creator, and you create the perfect way to make that incident come to life, man, you're going to love it. May 17th, we're going to bring the heat. Now, obviously, we like to be hospitable hosts. You are our guests, and we are on the final few minutes. Love to give you the opportunity for that one person right there that is watching, that is feeling lost, scared, afraid, anxious in a very unprecedented and mostly uncertain economy and housing market and gas prices. What is your hopeful message to that person? And if you can give them one call to action to take, and make sure you tell them about tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that I'm going to be training in. Here's the link. But beside that, what would you recommend to that one person?
It's all about the mind. It's all about the mind. You have to keep your sanity, keep your mind focused. Listen, getting upset, working out of fear, it's not going to help you. No one operates at their highest level operating from fear, operating from anger, operating from anything like that. So just, if I could tell you anything, I think we've all kind of touched on it. Definitely take the time, slow down, meditate, slow yourself down, find out what your why is, know thyself. Learn about who you are and what you truly want, what makes you happy, and just stay positive. You do that, you're going to be able to achieve. God is going to put things in your life, people in your life that can bring you to the next level, even when you're at your darkest moments. So stay focused. Jump on iam.media.
Hey, yes, I was hitting his leg the whole time. Hey, don't forget. Don't forget.
Get that information. And follow me on Instagram, Franklin Estates.
Franklin Estates, it is. Debbie, any final thoughts and words to our friendly community?
Well, first of all, thanks a lot, Jordan, man. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. And look at the coincidence. Here's the coincidence I want to talk about. Do you notice that everybody talks about mindset?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the industry. So people, be a student of your mindset and be there on May 17th for that paradigm shift. I can't wait.
That's right. All right. Well, listen, we love you and we appreciate you, and keep your head up. There is no bad and there is no good. There only is. It is only your perception that creates the good and or the bad. You may like, as I use an example all the time, frog legs, or you may think they are disgusting. two different people. One sees it as good, the other one sees it as bad, but they are just frogs. There only is. So make sure you put the very, very best eyeglasses on, the positive ones, because there are a lot of good things out there. Unfortunately, it is only our contaminated mindset that only shows us what is bad in front of us. So I love you and I appreciate you. And until next time, hey guys, tell them peace out, everybody.
Peace out, guys.
Peace out, everybody. We'll see you next time. See ya.